A lot of producers are quietly killing their career by begging clients to let them quote. I know because I was one of them once, and here's what it looked like. I cold called a whole bunch of businesses. Hey, can I quote your business? And as soon as somebody said, sure, I thought, yes, I got one. Putting it in the pipeline, baby. And I would run straight out, collect all the information. And you know what happened? I lost. I lost a lot. I maybe won one out of 40 of those accounts. I had to learn that there's a better way to do it. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to win business by sharing information, but holding off on implementation. Let's get into it. Let me tell you what begging to quote looked like for me early in my career. I had no idea how to move the sales processes from the beginning to the end. I didn't know what my customers wanted or needed and what was going to make them willing to change and make them willing to buy. And so I thought the name of the game was if I can get a bunch of people to let me quote their business and I can help them save money and get them better coverage, there some of them are going to change to me. And I guess that was true, but my close ratio was so terrible, less than 10%, and it took so much time and energy that I couldn't actually get any momentum going because, man, quoting 40 different businesses is a lot of work. It's a lot of information. And at the same time, I wasn't actually helping people to answer the questions that they had. I wasn't actually delivering value to my customers or my prospects. And if I was delivering any value, it was at the very back end of a process that took a lot of work for everybody. And here was the real hard truth. Quoting the business for these people without any type of commitment was free consulting. But the thing was, I didn't know what I was supposed to be consulting on, so I didn't know how to put any types of hooks around it or expectations around it. So here's how I started to reframe the situation in my mind, especially now in the last couple of years. There are certain things that most customers want to know, and we can talk about freely with them. They want to know who the best companies are. They want to know if they're paying too much. They want to know which coverages they should have. They want to make sure they get the renewals early so they don't get surprised, and they want to be able to talk to somebody about it. Those are their problems. We can talk about those problems without ever seeing their without ever quoting something and really without ever seeing their policies. We can talk at a high level about all of these things. We can talk about how underwriting works, what insurance companies care about and how to make them compete to offer the best terms, what drives pricing, what does a good renewal process look like? And explain what implementation looks like and how they should go to market to get the best deal. We kind of know these things as producers because we talk to underwriters all the time. We talk to customers. We know what the coverages are. We know when our underwriters are most likely to engage with us, but our customers don't know that. And it's incredibly value. And so what I realized is I should never be afraid to explain the game, but I shouldn't play it for free. So I'll tell you a story about early in my career. I had figured out that nonprofits was going to be a good lane for me. And so I started cold calling a lot of nonprofits and I got into four boys and girls clubs one year. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to get at least one of these boys and girls clubs. And I got some quotes out, got one out to one that was in my area. It was 20% less, and I included an umbrella, and I thought, I got this one. And what happened? The executive director took the quote, handed it back to the incumbent. They matched. And he said, I'm just sorry. It just wasn't enough to switch. Talked to another one, worked real hard. I hammered my underwriter, said, hey, look, I talked to the CFO. They said price is the most important thing. And then I showed up to the presentation and the CEO was there for the first time. Never met him before. And he said, the most important thing is services. What services do you offer? And I was totally stumped. So I didn't realize that was what was important. I did not come prepared to talk about that. I wasted at least a dozen hours there and political capital with my underwriter. And what happened? The customer got nothing out of that process. I didn't get a sale. It was a total waste of time. And what I really remember that will always stick with me is when I parked before that appointment and I was looking at the front door, the CFO was standing there with another insurance producer that looked like they were in their 20s. And he had his hand on their shoulder and was talking to them consolingly. And I thought, I wonder what's going on there. Well, I wasn't sure it was an insurance producer. I wasn't sure who he was talking to. At the end of my meeting with the CEO and the CFO, the CEO put his arm around me and said, "Hey, if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know." I said, "Yeah, right." And I got out to the front stoop, and the CFO was standing with me in the same exact spot, hand on my shoulder, talking to me consolingly. And I realized the whole thing was a racket. What I realize now is that was all my fault. And everything that happened to me there, I could have fixed if I had a different process. If I was willing to share with the prospect everything they needed to know about how to get the best deal on the front end, I could have saved myself a lot of time. I could have saved them a lot of time. And we could have decided if it was right for either of us to engage. So here's what has changed for me when I've switched my mindset from begging to quote to I'm going to share information freely, but I'm only going to implement if you hire me. I have deeper trust with my clients. They stick with me. My close ratios have went up significantly. I exude a certain amount of exclusivity because what I say honestly to people is I have to protect my brand with underwriters. My customers are depending on me to do that because that's how I get them the best deal. So no, I'm sorry, I cannot take you to the marketplace because that does not fit with my brand if you have not committed to work with me. My underwriters depend on me to bring highly qualified deals. My customers depend on me to operate that way because it's what helps them get the best deal. But I'm still happy to share with you, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, everything I know to help you solve your problem. I just can't go implement the solution unless you have authorized me to do it. I spend less time on paperwork. I spend less time quoting. I spend less time with bad prospects that really are not serious about working with me. But the people that do want to work with me or even are in that middle ground, they get everything they need from me. And what they feel is that, yeah, that guy is honest. He's transparent. He's willing to talk to me about all my problems because the insurance industry is terrible about this. We do not talk to people about the things that they feel and need to know about the product. It all feels like it's behind a paywall for them, and they hate it. That's why they hate insurance, is because they don't understand it. Nobody explains it. And you can be the person that fixes that if you'll talk to them about the things that they want to talk about in their terms. So I'll wrap it all up by saying once I made this mindset shift, I have sold more accounts. I've sold larger accounts. I don't work as hard, and I work with people that want to work with me. And who doesn't want that for their career? And so if that's where you're at, I, re- I really think that you should try and make the mindset shift away from begging people to send you insurance information and instead seek to educate them about what they need to know. And if you fix that habit, your entire career trajectory can change. Hey, if this is helpful, please hit like and subscribe. It helps other people like you find the content. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments. I answer everything. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please go build something.